Fair. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, it just starts playing. All right. Mark and Gunny then had to answer questions about their trip. They filled the others in, but expurgated the gory parts of the roadblock. Everyone was happy that Manny's family had been rescued, but it did little to relieve the sadness of Rodney's passing. Even though he had been here only a short time, he'd become a part of the family. Mark and Gunny thought tomorrow would be fine for the funeral. Everyone said good night and headed for bed. Mark and Jess headed for their room. Jess lit a candle and sat down on the bed. She began to quietly sob. Mark sat beside her and held her. He didn't say anything. His thoughts bounced from the happiness of Letty's, Ed's, and Robbie's homecoming to the sadness Rodney's death had brought. How would Donna, Timmy, and Tommy get along without their husband and father? How would his family get along if something happened to him? Who would take care of them? Of course, Jim would step up, but it should be family who filled in if the unthinkable happened. He had to go get his brother and the rest of his family. Mike was the one he could count on if something happened. He squeezed Jess to him a little tighter. The next thing Mark knew, the wind-up alarm clock was going off. He and Jess had fallen asleep crossways on the bed in their clothes. He unwrapped his arms from around her and tried to stretch the cramps out of his back. He rolled over and looked at the glow-in-the-dark hands on the clock. They read 1:30. He got up, turned the alarm clock off, and threw a light blanket over his wife. He picked up what he needed from the bedroom and shuffled into the study to put on his boots and get his rifle out of the safe. When he showed up at the command post, the radio man from Charlie's shift informed him that they'd seen an increased amount of traffic from town. Mark asked if there was any trouble and was told that only one group had gotten a little mouthy with Jim. Mark was chatting with his guys when he saw Craig arrive. Mark looked at his watch and noticed that he had barely made it on time. The Delta shift leader made his duty assignments for the shift. He'd intended to sit in one of the towers tonight, but decided that it might be better if he was already at the gate in case of trouble. Everyone moved out to their station. Mark met Jim at the gate post. "Heard you've been busy," Mark told his friend. "Yeah. 8 or 9 groups came through, most of them earlier. We even had a little excitement." "What happened?" "A group came through about 11 and gave us some trouble until they noticed we had them covered. They were demanding that we give them food, water, and camping gear. The leader kept whining it wasn't fair that we had stuff that they didn't. I told them we could help them on a little food, and they could have all the water they could carry, but that wasn't good enough for them. They had a couple of guns and said that if we didn't give them what they wanted, they would come in and take it. I convinced them that it wasn't likely to happen by having the guys in the foxholes shine their flashlights at the gate. When I told the leader we had 5 armed guys in each foxhole, you should have seen his eyes get big. They were so taken back they left without the food and water we would have given them." Jim was grinning. "Did they seem like criminals or gang members?" "No, just like regular people. I think the aggressiveness came from being scared. I guess if I had no place to go and no food, I'd be scared for my family too." Mark just nodded his head. He climbed down into the foxhole and started watching. A couple of groups came by during Delta shift, but only one stopped and asked for some water. Other than that, it was very quiet. He thought about all the things going on. When he was relieved by Alpha shift, he felt tired and looked forward to taking a nap before his morning self-defense class. He trudged up to the hill. When Mark got to the house, Timmy was leading Jess out of the back door by her hand. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Timmy's having trouble waking his mother up, and it's time for breakfast." "I mean, why aren't you at school?" "We canceled it for today." Mark didn't have to ask why. He followed Jess and the boy back to the Roberts tent. Jess went in with Timmy. He could hear Tommy inside. "Please wake up, Mommy, please," the older of the 2 boys pleaded. "Donna," Mark heard his wife's voice. "I know you're sleepy from the medicine Lisa gave you, but you have to wake up. Donna, are you this?" Mark heard Jess gasp, and he knew instantly that something was wrong. He rushed into the tent and saw that his wife's face was pale. He looked down at the cot Donna was lying on and noticed that she too was pale. He reached down and touched her forehead. It was cold. Colder, it seemed, than anything he had ever touched. He looked at the boys and knew that they could see from the look on his face that something was wrong. "Maybe Mommy needs her medicine to wake up," Timmy suggested. "No, her medicine is to keep her from being sad, not for waking up," Tommy scolded his younger brother. "What medicine?" "It's in her purse," Tommy said as he reached into the bag and pulled out a vial. He held it up to Mark. "See?" Mark took the vial. It was empty. He looked at the label. Paxil. Mark didn't know what it was. Maybe she had overdosed. He looked at Jess. Go get Lisa. Jess moved out of the tent, and Mark squatted down between the two boys. He pulled them to him and took a deep breath. Boys, I know the last few days have been really hard on you, but I have some bad news for you. Your mommy has gone to be with your daddy in heaven. I guess she missed him too much. No, Timmy screamed, and he and his brother started crying into Mark's shoulders. Jess came back with Lisa, and they both had tears in their eyes. Lisa checked the body for a pulse and then looked at Mark and shook her head. Mark, however, already knew what she was trying to tell him.